Even as I was messing up, I was like, okay, I see what I did there. Don't worry, because I plan on making another one. Hey y'all, I'm Makeda. Welcome to OhSewFly, our channel where we'll discuss a lot of sewing with a dash of mommying. If you're new here, be sure to hit the subscribe button and don't forget to press the bell for notifications. So, October was a very busy month for me, and I am so glad that it's over, but I'm so hyped to show y'all my makes. The first thing I made this month was the Tilly and the Buttons Joni dress, and I'm doing air quotes because it was really and truly a mashup. After I cut out the bottom of the dress, my man is like, you know what, you should do it going straight across like this. And I'm like, that's not what the pattern is. That's not what it is. It's a twist side, but whatever. I don't know how to do that. I'm not interested in looking up past, because I had like 3 days before I needed to make this garment. I felt really nervous about self-drafting a bodice because I'd never done it before. But when I thought about it, especially because I was adding the rhinestone embellishment, I did think that a sweetheart neckline would suit the outfit more. So I did listen to him, and I love how it turned out. I felt so beautiful and so sexy. Let's talk a little bit about actually making the garment. In Tilly's book, Stretch, she talks about using stretch velvet, and one of her suggestions is that if you are cutting and the pattern piece says to cut on the fold, to actually make a full piece of this pattern piece and then cut it out that way so you don't have to deal with the fabric slipping. Now, I decided to move forward with the fold anyway, and that worked out fine. The problem I had was sewing it all together using my serger. I was serging so slowly, but I couldn't serge too slowly. You know when you're working with the serger and you're like, if it's going too slow, then it's just like is it actually catching the fact? Like, it's kind of weird. I don't know if anyone else experiences that. If you do, please let me know in the comments. But it's this weird, like, you know, it just won't do right. That's what's wrong. It just won't do right. When it comes to wearing the garment, it worked pretty well. It didn't fall off of me completely. What I needed was for this bodice part to be tighter. I needed to cut it to be a little bit smaller because the fabric I used to make my muslin was a bit more snug, and so it didn't feel as loose as this. That's number one. Number two, you know when you'll have like a bra or some kind of sweetheart neckline top, they'll have like this elastic kind of band sometimes to allow for the garment to hold to your skin. I needed that because it kept going down. As I was dancing, I was having a good time. We were at a dance party, so I kept doing this thing that's happening over here. And you know, it wasn't cool. But that was my only problem with actually wearing the garment, which is, I think that's pretty good. I love the way that the skirt bottom moved. It moved. It's just, man, I can't wait to actually make a Joni, a full-blown Joni. Adding on the rhinestones was really easy. I used E6000 glue, and I got some rhinestones off of Amazon. I told myself that I wanted to add more and embellish and do different sizes, and maybe one day I'll actually do that, but for now it's just gonna be what it is. I am going to look into adding an elastic piece here. Next, I want to talk about the two patterns I made for my girls. I used Brindille and Twig patterns. I made for my baby the kimono sleeve romper, and for my big baby I made the hooded raglan, the sweater. For the kimono sleeve romper, I cut it out in a size 9 to 12 months. It is a little big for her. She's just not there yet, but I had no intentions of making a smaller size, and then 2 seconds later making a larger size. Attaching the neckband to this took me forever. It took me forever because there were so many times where I was going through and I was like, that didn't catch. And so I'd take it out and then I'd unpick the whole thing and then I'd do it again. I didn't have the knife up, which was like, thank God for that. I didn't have to deal with having to go and cut extra neck bands to have as backup. But I will be honest and say that I use white serger thread. And at some point in the process, I decided that I was going to push through, and there are points where you could actually see the white serger thread. But I was so frustrated that instead of unpicking it yet again, I think I unpicked it like 3 or 4 times. And it's frustrating when you're unpicking serger thread. It is not like unpicking thread from your sewing machine. I got so frustrated, and I use a marker, y'all. So you can't really tell. But I definitely use a marker. This whole front right here is a marker. And I think it's a permanent marker. If it's not, when I wash it, it'll wash off, and then I'll just use the marker again for when it's time for her to wear it. And then there were some points where it didn't fully catch, and so there were little holes, but those I was able to do a little hand sew. The other issue I had with this was I felt that the top portion, the torso portion, was not a good proportion between the torso and the legs. So when I hung it up, I was like, this looks like the torso was so long and then the legs were so short. And I spoke to a friend of mine who actually suggested that I use this pattern, and she said she had the same issue, so she ended up moving the drawstring up. And so if I do make this pattern again, I will do the same thing. The pattern, she does suggest using the good snaps, you know, the snaps that you put on and kind of blends it with your fabric. I didn't have those, and I didn't want to hand sew all the other snaps, so I ended up using snap tape. I might do that differently if I were to make this again, but overall I'm excited about it. I am going to do some patchwork on it to just make it look even more unique and special for my baby. Next is the hooded raglan, and let me tell y'all, my daughter was feeling herself when she saw me making it, and I was like, that's for you, baby. She was so excited. I cut this out in a size 2T. This is a free pattern. I loved making it. I thought the directions were fairly simple. On both of them, the directions were easy. I will say though that if you are a beginner, there are points where you're going to need to press that pressing is not mentioned at all. So I would probably make this after I've made a few things and I kind of get sewing a little bit in my body, because I was glad that I pressed when I did, because I really needed to. I talked about this double brush jersey in my fall fabric haul video. Loved working with it. Extremely slippery. I just use it as accent pieces, and I use it here, you know, on the sides, and I used it on the inside of the pocket. But I had to sew very slowly to make sure that this wasn't slipping. And yet again, I did not use my walking foot. I didn't use my walking foot at all this month. I needed to use my walking foot for every single project that I made with stretch material this month, and I did not. I'm gonna make sure I make a note of that moving forward. Yeah, I had the same issues with this as I did with the kimono in terms of attaching this band to the bigger portion. It wasn't as difficult because it's not a super small band that I'm attaching to a larger piece. And for this, because it was the second thing that I made, I took my time. I really took my time. There is no marker on this, no marker. But there were a few pieces. Oh wow, I still have to do this piece right here where I needed to hand sew. So I need to do this little piece right here. October for me was serger issue month, because almost everything that I made, I had some sort of issue with my serger. Next, let's get into my favorite make for the month of October. It is the Yanta overalls by Helen's Closet. Y'all, I'm in love with this pattern. I'm in love with Helen's Closet's directions. They were so clear, concise. Every little step towards making this, I was like, oh my God, look, oh. The pockets, when I was putting the pockets together, I was just like, oh my God, look at what I'm doing. Like, I was so, listen, it made me feels so good to make these overalls. And it's exactly what I needed at the end of the month, because I had a few sewing fails and mishaps and things, but when I was making this, I just felt like, even as I was messing up, I was like, okay, I see what I did there. Don't worry, because I plan on making another one. So first and foremost, when I went into the fabric store and bought this fabric months ago, the gentleman told me this was a cotton linen blend. And I understand that this could still possibly be a cotton linen blend, but I really think that this is some sort of canvas type material, because it's really, it's really sturdy. I know a little bit about fabric, but I'm still a fairly brand new sewist. And so when I go into a fabric store and I ask someone who is employed in the fabric store, what is this? I'm going to expect for it to be what it is. But I have worked with linen before, and this didn't feel like no kind of linen. It didn't feel like that at all. Not complaining, still loved it, but yeah, I'm just putting that out there. According to my measurements, I should have made the size 12. When I looked at the finished garment measurements, I decided to make the size 10 because I knew I could fit in it, and my body is changing. It's slimming in areas. I have not completely gotten rid of all of my baby weight, which I'm not stressing about, but my physical body is changing a bit, and so I didn't want to have a garment that I was literally swimming in. It still is a little bit big in some areas, so it works for me. I did not put the zipper in because I didn't need the zipper to go over my hips. I also practiced using some speedy sewing tips that Helen and Caroline talked about in their Love to Sew podcast. So I batched ironed, I batched when it came to making the pockets, because there are 5 pockets on here. I just made those all at one time, and that was cool. It was just, so I made the chain instead of cutting my thread every time. I just kept things going, kept things moving through, matching my seam allowances. So this was a really fun project for me because I was really trying new things. I was learning a lot, and I was loving each piece of the process because I just saw it coming together, and it was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh. So yeah, the Yanta overalls. In terms of menswear, I know I set the goal that I wanted to make a men's shirt for my sew-anniversary, but literally 2 days before I was going to cut out the shirt, he says to me, I don't want you to do this shirt. I want you to use that fabric, and I want you to copy one of my traditional African garbs, the top and the bottom. You know, I was freaking out because to me, I'm like, I just told you I want to get into feeling comfortable making things by starting off with a shirt. You just asked me to copy an entire outfit. But because he's my man and I love him dearly and I haven't made anything for him as of yet, I said I'm up for the challenge. I'll do it. That leads me into my end of the year plan. So I will be copying one of his outfits. In addition to that, I am also going to be making a Joni dress out of this fabric right here, this double brush knit fabric that I talked about in my fall fabric haul. I already have the pieces cut out. The envelope is right on my sewing table. So I'm just going to go ahead and sew me up a Joni, a full-blown Joni, no hacks. Then I'm going to, what you think? I'm going to make me another one of these Yanta overalls. I have a rust-colored cotton linen that I'll be using. I might even get some more fabric and make another one. That's how much I love this pattern. It's funny because in my Sew With Me chat, a mom made a comment below that she had tried and true patterns. Like, she had something for herself, she had something for her daughter, and that's what she made while she was sewing. And so I've been kind of looking for that. This is really about to become one of them. I already know it. And in terms of things for my girls, I've made the Made by Ray geranium dress a few times. She has a free pattern if the baby is between 0 and 3 months old, but if not, you can purchase the full pattern. And she has an expansion pack. It's a really simple, easy dress, but depending on the fabric can make it look grand and fabulous. And so I'll be making my daughters look grand and fabulous in a geranium. I'm also going to be using a Tie-Dye Diva reversible A-line dress pattern. That was the first pattern I ever sewed with a year ago when I made my big baby a reversible on-card print dress. So I feel confident being able to make that and kind of crank that out. The last thing I wanted to make, since I have this wool, I did want to practice making either a picot or maybe a cape. My daughters will be wearing size 2T and 9 to 12 months. So if anyone has any suggestions on a little girl's coat pattern, please send them my way. Or if you have a really great tutorial for how to self-draft a cape. It's the holidays. They need some outerwear, and I have the wool. So yeah, that's the end of my end of year plans. That's all I plan on doing for the end of the year, which is a lot. Please be sure again to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Press the bell for notifications, and like this video if you liked it. Leave a comment below if you want to, and follow me on Instagram at OhSewFly, and I will see you guys next week. Deuces. I feel so comfortable in my Yanta overalls. I got my legs up on the thing, you know.